James White, 95.7 Cruz FM.
Okay, we're calling a guy by the name of Ray Roth, and he is with a podcast called Who's Got Next. Ray?
Yeah.
How you doing, my friend?
Good, how are you?
Good. You may know Ray from a podcast that he used to do called Pat's Nation.
Dear Pat's Nation.
Dear Pat's Nation. You kind of made your hay with that one, and you've moved on since then, but you're a big football guy. We're going to ignore the fact that you're a huge Patriots fan this morning.
Okay.
For the sake of this conversation. You're also responsible for me becoming a Bills fan this year, because I was trying to pick a new team, because I ironically picked the Browns as a team to cheer for, and then after all this Deshaun Watson stuff, you were like, yeah, dude, no, you got to flip teams. So thank you for that.
No worries. So, I sent you to the best team in the NFL.
Thank you very much. Watch us win this year.
One, yeah.
Watch us win this year. I got to go buy a ball cap.
Watch us win.
All right. So you and I have talked multiple times about this Deshaun Watson mess over the last couple of weeks, and I said I wanted to bring you on when the NFL responded to the 6-game suspension, which we knew was going to happen based on their comments. Maybe give us a timeline, Ray, of how we got to where we are now with Deshaun Watson.
Okay, all the way back to last March, when reports initially came out that there was a class action lawsuit being filed against Deshaun Watson. And at that time, I believe it was like 5 or 6 masseuses who had claimed that they had been legitimately hired to go and perform, massage therapy on Deshaun Watson. And while he was there, he basically forced them into sexual acts while this was happening. As the months go by, more and more women keep coming forward, and the number was roughly 30 women by the end of it.
Yeah, and I think it's 25 or something that were officially at one point or another that were involved in that lawsuit, right?
Correct. So they had about 25 in total. He has settled most of his lawsuits now. I think there's 3 or 4 outstanding lawsuits, which tells me that's an admission of guilt. Now, he wasn't indicted by a grand jury, so there wasn't enough evidence to criminally charge him. However, they were able to, they settled some lawsuits. Enough things came out, enough timelines, in my opinion, enough proof came out to say that he was guilty. So the NFL begins investigating the situation. He gets traded to the Cleveland Browns in the meantime, signs a massive contract. I think everybody on the planet knew that he was going to be suspended. So when the Browns gave him his new contract, which is a record-setting contract.
Yeah.
230 million, right? Guaranteed.
Correct.
It's the guaranteed money that's kind of egregious in this whole thing too, right?
Yes, there's a ton of guaranteed money. And the good news for Deshaun Watson was the Browns knew he probably was going to miss some time year one. So his base salary is only $1 million this year. So he's only going to, they don't lose money for signing bonuses. During suspensions, they only don't get paid for their base salary. So with his new suspension, he's only going to lose somewhere around $750,000 from his base salary.
Oh, that's so awful.
The NFL and the NFLPA have a deal that they are when investigations like this happen and it has to go to punishment, they go to an independent arbitrator. The independent arbitrator gave Deshaun Watson 6 games, which I think everybody on the planet thought was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And, and then Logan, you and I talked about this, and I said, I'm hoping the NFL does the right thing and appeals, which they did. And then for the last, 3-4 days, everything I had been hearing was it's a slam dunk, full season, $5 to $7 million suspension, and I was okay with that. I believe in people getting second chances, but a full season was my minimum. And then on Wednesday, I started hearing rumblings around that the NFL was talking anywhere between 10 to 11 games, and I was praying that the people I was talking to were wrong. And then yesterday, it was announced that the NFL and the NFLPA had come to an agreement, and Deshaun Watson will be suspended for 11 games and fined $5 million.
So there is a cash fine that goes with this as well. It's gross, right?
It's disgusting. I wrote a piece when they appealed it and said for the first time ever, Deshaun Watson was coming out, or the NFL, I apologize, was coming out on the right side of history. That's what I was the most excited about. They're finally coming out on the right side of history. They've always handled these situations so poorly. And then the NFL did what the NFL does, and they handled the situation poorly. There was no reason that this should have been less than one season. It was a slam dunk case. I always compare it to Calvin Ridley, who was suspended indefinitely this year. Last season, Calvin Ridley for the Atlanta Falcons was at home, not playing, not a part of team activities, and made a bet that the Atlanta Falcons were going to win their game. So no inside information, nothing like that. Bet on his team to win. He's suspended indefinitely. You know, I was suspended on Twitter yesterday for making the statement, but I'll make it again. I believe the message that the NFL and the NFLPA, people are upset with the NFL, but you got to be just as mad at the Players Association. They sent a strong message yesterday that they condone sexual violence and sexual harassment towards women with this suspension.
And Twitter pulled you down.
Yes, I appealed it and won, but yep, I was down for 3 hours yesterday for that comment.
Wow. That says a lot, because the NFL came after you, eh?
Yeah, one of them did. One of them reported me and came after me. I was not happy.
Well, good for you for standing up. The thing that bothers me about this is it kind of makes me want to not watch football this year. I kind of love watching football.
I'm in the same boat as you guys. I irrationally messaged my boss over on the Dean Blundell network yesterday and said I'm not covering the NFL anymore, and I'll find you football guys, but woke up this morning and remembered that poor people have morals, so I might be flipping on that. But no, I agree with you. I'm having a difficult time too supporting this league, because it's just one thing after another with them, and with this case it seems so rock solid. But I think what irritates me the most, and they cannot tell me this is just a coincidence, Deshaun Watson's first game back, coincidentally, is against his former team, the Houston Texans, the team that he forced a trade out of. Tell me.
I didn't know that. That's awful. They're cashing in on the negative publicity of it, right?
Yeah, I guess it's that old adage, right? Any press is good press.
Yeah.
And in the NFL, and I think the thing is, and we've had this discussion before, Roger Goodell and the NFL believe they're bulletproof. Where every other sports league in the world right now would be squirming at the podium. If this was the NHL, Gary Bettman would be making comments. We haven't even heard from Roger Goodell. He kind of just shrugged his shoulders. The Cleveland Browns owner, in the middle of the press conference yesterday, a reporter was asking Deshaun Watson about an allegation that a woman made, and the owner interrupted the question to answer with, well, Deshaun Watson is 26 years old and he's a really good quarterback. And I just sat there dumbfounded.
That's how they view this whole situation. He's a really good quarterback. We got a really good quarterback here, guys. Yeah, that's how they view this. It doesn't matter what they do. We don't need to get down this wormhole, but we've talked about the culture of hockey in this country as well, right? And these leagues, they kind of enable it. They do. They enable it.
If you can play.
They enable it, and I think as fans, and I put this out to my audience yesterday on my show, and I said, don't forget this, because this is a situation he's going to go away, and then he's going to be forgotten about. And then he'll come back. It'll be a story for a day, and it'll be forgotten about. You keep the pressure on. I'm looking at all the big sponsors of the NFL now, Budweiser, whoever, and saying, like, okay, what's your next move now? Like, are you going to take a moral stance and force the NFL to finally do the right thing?
That's basically where it always comes from, is sponsors start pulling money, and then they realize, oh, we got to be better people.
I wonder, though, in this situation, just based on the power of the NFL, and I don't want to be negative, but, if Bud Light backs out, does Miller go, hey, we're over here, right? Or, hey, Coors, right? It'll be fun to watch you go after their sponsors.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, I don't hold back.
Ray, give us a rundown on your podcast. What's it called, and when are you up?
Yeah, I got 2 shows. You can find me every Wednesday. It's called the Who's Got Next podcast, and I do a daily mini show called Ray Sports Rant. You can find it all on DeanBlundell.com.
You're in the locker room with Lachlan Cross, Grant Johnson, and James White. 95.7 Cruz FM.
Is that you, Paul?